Heya Cryptozens. Tonight's show: SEC versus CFTC over crypto. Winner takes some. And Crypto Job Watch. It's 10 p.m. Pacific time, and the date is June 24th, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. My name is Nicodemus, and I will be your host. The cover model, mascot, and co-host for this podcast is Tex. And together, we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. So take a minute, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast now, because we're here at 10 p.m. each and every night, so that when you leave in the morning, you're taking with you the news analysis that you need to start your day. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. One rulebook to rule them all. That's what Gensler wants. That's right. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commissioner, SEC Chair Gary Gensler, said that there should be one rulebook. Now, the reason being that it makes it harder for bad actors to sneak through, fewer chances to exploit gaps in regulation, and use those opportunities to perpetuate fraud. And so it is for this reason that Chair Gensler said he was writing up a memorandum of understanding, and this MOU between the SEC and the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, would act as a bridge between those gaps. And Gensler is in a pretty unique position to understand what those gaps might be. Might not believe it, but the man did teach and research blockchain technology at MIT, so he's well familiar. Beyond that, Gensler understands these gaps because he's been in charge of both. In addition to currently serving as the chair of the SEC, he was the chair for the CFTC from 2009 to 2013. And anyone who's been in crypto for a little while knows Gensler has had his eye on crypto for a while now, because the SEC has been aggressively lobbying for control over the digital asset space. The argument they make, of course, is that crypto is a security, not a commodity. So you got to start thinking about this, right? I mean, it's reasonable to believe that Gensler has a good, solid grasp on what a security is. He is running the SEC. He knows what a security is, presumably. And he should have a good idea what a commodity is, given that he ran the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Not saying you have to agree with him, but other people will. Just by virtue of his position now and in the past, he has a degree of authority on the subject. So, to his end, to get control of the crypto regulatory space, he said, quote, "I'm talking about one rulebook on the exchange that protects all trading regardless of the pair, be it a security token versus security token versus commodity token versus commodity token." Now, he said it was necessary to protect investors. Earlier this month, he was speaking at the Wall Street Journal's CFO network, and again, he reiterated his position that cryptocurrencies are securities, and then that gives his agency authority over them. He said, quote, "These tokens are being offered to the public, and the public is hoping for a better future. That characterizes an investment contract." And Chair Gensler has his work cut out for him. For one thing, he's catching flack from both industry and lawmakers. Earlier this month, Senator Bill Hagerty and 4 other Republican senators sent a letter to Gensler. The senator wanted a staff accounting bulletin withdrawn. According to them, it's, quote, "regulation disguised as staff guidance." And he's also getting it from the industry. Ripple's CEO, for example. Ripple and the SEC have been embroiled in a long-standing dispute over whether or not they sold unregistered securities. So keep that in mind when I tell you that Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, is saying that the SEC has been inconsistent in how it manages the regulations on the crypto industry. He was speaking to Wired magazine about that dispute when he said, quote, "The SEC now seems to take the position when they sued us that XRP is a security and has always been. But they approved Coinbase going public even though Coinbase is not a registered broker-dealer. There's some contradictions here of the SEC almost not within its organization, knowing left hand, right hand." He continued, saying, "The SEC, instead of doing the hard work to define a new, clear set of rules, a new set of clear regulations, they instead decide we're going to do regulation through enforcement, which is not efficient and really, I think, has stifled innovation in the United States." At the time of writing, the global crypto market cap is $962.38 billion. It's up 0.32% in 24 hours. The top 5 cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin up 0.36%, Ethereum up 0.77%, Tether, USDC, and Binance Coin down 0.85%. And Chair Gensler is even coming fire from within his own house. Crypto mom, SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, has been pushing for changes from within. Now, she was speaking at a conference, and she said it's important to get started doing the work of regulating the crypto ecosystem, but there is a lack of an actual regulator. She said, quote, "A bipartisan bill announced last week attempts to answer that question. Some people in the crypto industry are celebrating the allocation of certain authorities to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, instead of the Securities and Exchange Commission. This view is likely rooted in a disappointment that the SEC has not used more proactively the authorities it already has to sensibly regulate crypto." If you ask Commissioner Pierce whether the SEC will approve a spot Bitcoin ETF, she'd tell you she doesn't know. She said, quote, "The Commission has added crypto-specific hurdles to what used to be a fairly straightforward processes for approving these pooled investment vehicles." Now, there are a couple of legislative initiatives out there that would hinder his plans. You've got the Commodity Digital Exchange Act. Now, that was introduced in its most recent form back in April. That bill would give the CFTC greater authority over the crypto space. Debbie Stabenow is the chairman of the Senate Ag Committee. And you might be wondering, what does agriculture have to do with any of this? Well, it's here where they come in. The Senate Ag Committee oversees the CFTC. Well, Debbie Stabenow and John Boozman are working on their own crypto bill. And this bill is expected to hand over more regulatory authority to the CFTC rather than the SEC. And, of course, there's the Lummis-Gillibrand bill, Responsible Financial Innovations Act, which, yay, thank you for not coming up with some funny, relevant acronym. Well, the Lummis-Gillibrand bill, sponsored by Senator Cynthia Lummis and Senator Kristen Gillibrand, is a fairly comprehensive bill. Now, Senator Lummis started it, and she's hugely pro-crypto. And she put out the call for a Democrat sponsor, and the senator from New York, Gillibrand, answered. She's not really known for having a strong position or opinion on crypto before this bill came up. Weighing in at 69 pages, it's dry. It's full of legal and crypto jargon, but it looks like it could do the job. And frankly, Lummis and Gillibrand are excellent candidates just for this. Lummis sits on the Senate Banking Committee. Now, the Senate Banking Committee oversees the SEC. And Gillibrand, remember that Senate Ag Committee I was talking about? Well, Gillibrand sits on that committee, which, as mentioned, oversees the CFTC. The global NFT market cap is down to $12.2 billion. Sales volume is up 0.16% in 24 hours. According to CoinMarketCap, the top 5 NFT collections by sales volume are Moonrunners, followed by Bored Apes, CryptoPunks, Mutant Apes, and Doodles. Now keep in mind, some of these collections have very volatile prices, so do your own research. Now, I don't want to get too in the weeds on this one here, but this bill looks at securities in a different way. So I'll just say this. They're inventing a new thing, something called an ancillary asset. So here's the deal. An investment contract is a security. Okay, that's fine. Now, the subject that contract, that's a commodity, they're saying. They're saying the subject of an investment contract is a commodity unless it can be proven to be a security. Oh, and it has to be fungible. That's an ancillary asset, which splits the crypto space up quite a bit. Now, to that end, Gillibrand said, quote, "I don't think CFTC is the primary regulator. They just have the obligation to regulate Bitcoin and Ether, the majority of cryptos today. But the SEC has an enormous responsibility, and we aren't minimizing the role of the SEC, but we are empowering both regulatory agencies to begin to take this market and give it safety and soundness." Oh, and this bill hands over the crypto asset spot markets to CFTC. That means crypto exchanges. Right now, they're mostly subject to state money transmission laws. Oh, and they get to collect fees for regulators, which could be a sizable amount. According to Elliptic, U.S. regulators have been collecting $3.35 billion in enforcement actions over the years. 70% of that went to the SEC. Now, Gensler, not a fan of this legislation. He said it could undermine existing broader market regulations. Remember, he is the one rulebook guy. He wants one rulebook for everyone to follow. His rulebook. He said, quote, "We don't want to undermine the protections we have in a $100 trillion capital market. Like behaviors should have like treatment." And in response to categorizing cryptocurrencies as commodities and not securities, obviously Gensler disagrees. He said, quote, "These tokens are being offered to the public, and the public is hoping for a better future. That's the characteristics of an investment contract." Which seems really vague to me. I mean, you could say that about a lot of things. That definition just seems too open to interpretation. And I am not the only one. Ripple General Counsel Stu Alderati said, quote, "Like a hammer wanting everything to be a nail, the SEC is keeping everything murky so it can argue every crypto is a security." Now, on the other side of all this is Rostam Behnam. And Rostam Behnam is, since January of this year, the chair of the CFTC. He has Gensler's old job overseeing the commodities market. He said the Lummis-Gillibrand bill is a good one. He said it was, quote, "a very good job." And he thinks that moving crypto under the CFTC is a good fit. He said, quote, "Markets are markets, whether it's derivatives or equities or fixed income. There's always a natural relationship between derivatives, generally, and cash markets." So there are at least 3 bills out there that I know of that take some, most, or all of the crypto market out of this kind of murky legislation, no man's land, and starts making some distinctions. And these distinctions seem to be more inclined to place individual crypto in the commodities bucket. Now, doing so puts most of crypto under the authority of the CFTC. Now, between the two, the CFTC is supposed to be the more flexible, the more lenient of the two. So that's a real question here, because look at the crypto landscape as it sits today. It's hurting. Crypto is hurting because crazy stuff has been happening. Terra Luna, 3AC, Horizon, Celsius, BlockFi might be hurting. Voyager pretty much belongs to FTX and SBF now. There's been a lot of shifts, a lot of huge waves of activity here. And on top of this craziness that's been happening in this space, crypto is getting big league attention from institutional investors. And I mean, sure, they're getting into crypto, but they like things to be nice and quiet, peaceful. And it seems like we can't go a week without one hack or another taking a multi-million-dollar purse. It's chaos. How much guidance do we need? How much regulation do we need? How much protection from both ourselves and others do we need? Hopefully the answer to that question is determined before regulations and before changes are enacted, and not after. Okay, here we go. Crypto Job Watch. Again, as always, I'm not endorsing a job. I'm not endorsing a company. I'm just offering a little help to someone who might need it. So this company is BitPush. Now, BitPush is a startup, and they're looking for a crypto or NFT community manager. BitPush is a media data company that focuses on Wall Street news and fintech reporting. This job is listed as fully remote, and Indeed is guessing the salary to be between $42,000 and $53,000 per year. They are looking for, quote, "an energetic and self-motivated NFT community manager to join our growing team." For qualifications, they want 2+ years of experience leading community efforts and initiatives in relevant industries such as gaming, crypto, blockchain, and creator platforms. They want you to know how to use Discord and Discourse, and you have to know blockchain and crypto and be able to communicate well. They're hiring 2 candidates for this job. So if this sounds like you, the company is BitPush, and they're looking for a community manager. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I'll stop talking. You stay safe out there. Watch out for yourselves, but watch out for each other too. We'll see you tomorrow night.